And then for the end user, we give them a similar type of display saying, if you want to go out and search the knowledge base, pick the type of knowledge that you're looking for. I'll pick HR thing. How do I add a family member to my insurance plan? And you could give them a very simple, in this case, very simple text-based thing. You could have embedded disk graphics in here. You could have embedded video in here. You could have a link to some other URL, like over to your 401k administrative advisor. So you could build these out to look ever how you wanted to. And of course, as an end user does it, we look to be able to get some feedback from them that we might need to do so that we can keep our knowledge articles fresh as we go through there. So let's contrast that view, if you would, to the view of an agent. So now I am a licensed user of FootPrints Service Corps. I've either got a named license or a concurrent license. And I have some role in the organization. Again, this is a very role-based system, so different people would be allowed to see and to do different things based on the permissions that the administrator gave that person. But as an agent, I've logged in, and notice that I have a bunch of widgets here at the bottom. And this is configurable by agent. It's not one view fits all agents that you have out there. So I'm following a bunch of high priority tickets that kind of over here on that global incidents. And most of you in FootPrints are familiar with global incident. I also have an RSS feed, right? A little bit more modern, socially active product that we've got here now. And I've also elected to configure a graphic view here, tickets by priority, just so I can get an idea of what's going on. And I can change these. I have different things here. As an agent, I would just click on Customize, and I could take any query I had built, and that's really any search I had built, or pick any of the graphs from any of the stored reports that are shared out there and bring those into my view. I could say I want my graphs on the side, or the top, or the bottom, or the right. Again, totally configurable as you come in and do that. So I'm going to minimize this momentarily just so we can kind of go over here and look. So I'm kind of logged in as, super admin person, so I get to see everything. But if I were just the frontline help desk person answering calls, I would probably only be able to see probably incidents and maybe service requests. I wouldn't see problems. I wouldn't see facilities. I wouldn't see that. But again, that's all a role-based thing that your administrator would set up there for you. We know the phone, though, however, is still going to ring occasionally. Not everything can be a service catalog. So let me give you an idea of kind of out of the box how the forms are laid out, how we kind of work with these forms, and kind of come in and do that. So I'm going to go in here. The use case is I'm going to create a new incident. And again, if your role was you can only do incidents, you wouldn't get this big drop down. You just have a button that says New Incident at the top there. So it's going to bring back my de facto screen that I've got, again, noting that you guys are in complete control of the way these screens look, the order in which the fields appear, the labels that we have on the fields. You can add fields, you can delete fields. That's totally up to you to be able to make this thing have the look and feel that fits the profile of what you're trying to do. But in this case, I'm saying the phone rings and goes, "Hi, this is James." I go, "Hi, James. What's going on with you today?" And, "Oh, which James is it? James Scott, James Bond, who are you?" Says, "Okay, got you in here. I can see all the information about you. Are you calling in about your primary laptop, or are you calling in about the projector you use pretty much on a full-time basis?" "I'm calling in about my laptop. Maybe you'll have to tell me whether it's my laptop or some other issue." So I'll go, "Okay." So James says, "Give me some information. What's going on?" He says, "Well, I've got a DVD issue, right?" And I go, "How long has that been going on?" "That's obviously desktop hardware, and it's, will not open." Something simple here, whatever it may be. And I go, "Well, James, let me look into this, and I will be back to you shortly, and you should receive an email here within the next couple of minutes." So I'm going to save that ticket out. It's going to immediately send James the email acknowledging the fact that ticket number 10450 has been created. So me trying to analyze what's going on with James's machine here, I probably want some more information about James's machine. So I can click over here and say, okay, he's got that Windows 7 machine. It looks like it's running Windows 7 64-bit, but of course it's really not a OS problem. He's got a hardware problem. So if I have, and let me caveat that, if I have that optional, used to be called FootPrints Asset Core, now called BCM, the other things I could do is I could just take over remote control of James's machine and see if I could figure out why his DVD's not working. I could do his registry, do his file system, transfer a file, ping his machine, all of these typical types of functions I could do, including push a piece of software, push a patch. We really enable the technician to be able to do whatever is needed to be able to resolve James's problem. In this case, since he said he had a DVD issue, I just want to get a little bit better idea about how his machine is configured. So here I'm bringing back all the information about, what BIOS he's running, what DVD he actually has installed in his machine, the memory, how many NIC cards he's got, all of the typical things you bring from a WMI suite. But in addition to that, I could see all of the software that's installed on his machine, right, and check on that. I could see, does he have his security turned on? Does he have his dollar shares configured? Is the firewall on? I could say, how old is this machine? Oh, look, he got this machine back in 2012. So rather than us spending a lot of time trying to fix a DVD on a 4.5-year-old machine, maybe we just ought to get James a new machine there. Again, whatever makes sense for that technician to do, we give them the ability at their fingertips right here within the ticket to be able to do that. Now, let's instead say James had called in and said, hey, I can't get email that he had. And I go, well, James, is that just you or is that everybody over in your group? He says, nobody in the building seems to be getting email here. So I go, okay, that's pretty much a critical application then. I'm going to change this and say, well, now we're really talking about one of our enterprise applications and we're talking about an MS Exchange. So I'm going to save that just to change the characteristics of this particular ticket. James is off the phone now. I'm trying to triage it. So, rarely does a single individual do. Notice that a broadcast went out that we have a problem with a enterprise application. So I've got a rule configured that anytime we have one of those, broadcast it to all the other agents out there so that they are aware of that. So the first thing I would probably do is say, well, I wonder if anybody has started an in-depth problem investigation on what's going on here with this email. I guess it's going to make me read it before it's going to let me close it. So I would want to go over here to my related records and say, I wonder if anybody's already opened up a problem investigation. So I could pull up a link to all the problem investigations that are currently going on, and oh, look, here's an email issue that somebody's already got going. So what in reality I would do here is I would just link my incident to the problem investigation, and that would automatically trigger an email to James that, hey, there's an investigation going on. We've added your incident that you called in about to the investigation, and when the investigation is complete and we've resolved that, your ticket will be automatically resolved and you will get yet another email. So that parent-child type of grouping, the same way a global incident works, if you're using proper problem management, it would kind of work the same way. Now, I'm not going to do it in this case, but that's what you would do. And the same thing is true over on being able to link to any other type of record. Let's say that we determined that in order to correct this problem, we needed to apply a patch to the Exchange server. Well, very likely in your organization, you probably have a process down that says, hey, buddy, before you can take down a production server, you must go through formal change management, do the assessments, get the approvals, pick a window to do it, all of those kind of things. So in that case, what I would probably do is saying, okay, now that we've determined that's what needs to be done, create a change request, link the ticket to it so that we understand what the origin of it was, and then pass that, the change ticket will automatically get created and assigned over to the change group to go out and do their thing. So just pointing out you've got the ability to do all of those things where it makes sense. When it doesn't make sense, you just ignore that particular tab and go on about your business there. I can currently see that I am the one assigned to this ticket, and we've also got it being assigned to the network team here. So multiple individuals and or teams can be associated with the same ticket. And where that really comes into play is when you are recording your time. So we have the running clock, which most people are used to, and that's great for saying when was the ticket open, when was the ticket finally resolved and closed out. So that's a good metric. but it's not necessarily the best metrics of how your people are spending their time. Because if I'm a typical agent, I've got 2 or 3 people, tickets open at the same time. I might be waiting for an end user to call me back, but I didn't close this ticket to, stop the clock. So we think it's a better way to just come in here and say, okay, I just spent 12 minutes working on this ticket. Now I'm going to wait to hear back from James. And until I do, I'm not going to do anything. Once he does call me back, we have another discussion. Maybe I'll come in here and say I spent yet another 10 minutes there. But if I left at the end of the day, or whether or not, if somebody from the network team who was also assigned to this ticket, if they came in and did some work on it, they would be able to record their time. So at the end of the day, or the end of the time period, I would know total open and close time. I would know how much time Roger put in on resolving the issue, how much time Joe put in on resolving the issue, or whatever other technician were to touch this, they would get that. So we think that's a little bit more valuable way to do that. And just to let you know, for you other FootPrints users out there, we still have that ability to spawn off a subtask where we need to. I don't think used as much in incident management as you would see that used when you're in formal change management, where you're saying, okay, we've got to change and I've got to have 4 people doing different things. They typically would be your subtask type of thing. The other place you would see something like that is where you are leveraging templates, right? So let's say that I want to create a new service request and the VP of sales just called the help desk and said, hey, I got permission from the CIO to hire that new employee and we're ready to bring him on board. So I just go, okay, let's pick the new hire template we've got done. I can do this through the self-service portal as well. And the only thing I'm going to say is, well, what's the name of the new hire? And I'll just make myself the new hire, Dick, that we're going to do here, and I would save that off. And that would then kick off the entire workflow process around bringing on a new hire, of which the first thing that would happen would be we would go into the approval phase where we say, okay, you say somebody's approved it, but I'm just the lowly technician up here. Somebody needs to formally approve this. So again, via email or coming into the ticket, they could approve that. And once that was done, then you would see all of the subtasks that got created as part of a new hire process. It would generate one subtask for somebody to grant director access, another subtask to a different group to provision keys and badges and swipe cards and all that good stuff. Somebody else to set up the new person in the Active Directory, and whatever the steps were, you can configure that in a template and have those types of things happen automatically there. So whether you're in a change request, whether you're in an incident, you've basically got a form with fields that you determine what the order of those are. And regardless of whether it's an incident, a problem, or a change, we give you these abilities to always add attachments. We give you ability to relate configuration items to the tickets. We give you the ability to have related records or subtasks where it makes sense. We give you the ability to record the time you're spending on the ticket. Of course, ultimately, we want you to be able to come in and put in your resolutions on how you resolve those tickets. We have full ability on adding, transferring different assignees to the ticket, again, regardless of which one it was. But I made some point about how easy it is for you to work within the system. One of the other things that I think has improved greatly in version 12 is the ability to do searches and, more importantly, the advanced searches, right? So if I'm over here and I just say I want to look at a simple search, I'm looking for a particular incident that I know is out there, I just go, I'm looking for an incident, excuse me, and I'm looking for a particular incident where the, I'm going to do that today. Let me get my mouse working here again. I apologize. I'm looking for an incident, and I'm looking for an incident that, and I'm going to use double quotes here, which means I'm looking for a phrase as opposed to a single thing.